Exodus 1, aka Indigo Sky, aka Trigger Winky. Y'all kicking with me on the Freestyle Fanaticz podcast. About to see we get something cracking. See we get something cracking in there.
Power on. Bluetooth pairing. Bluetooth connected.
How y'all doing today? I know y'all tapping in. Tell me where y'all tapping in from. Like what city? Alright, we probably gonna go law and crime first right now. So this a little bit about Diddy. They talking about his right hand woman. I don't know, I don't know if they talking about Capricorn Clark. I think they talking about somebody else though. I think they talking about the lady that's classified as, I guess, Mia. Her name's supposed to be Mia.
I think everyone should have one of these in their car now for their own protection, especially now that they're so inexpensive. Of all the ones that I reviewed, this...
I don't got, what do they call it? Premium, so my bad. Yeah, it look like it's...
We are entering week 4 of the Sean Diddy Combs criminal trial, and there is one name that has come up quite a bit. Not only someone who may know quite a few things about the rap mogul, but someone who may be the key to this whole racketeering case. Will Christina
something. I don't know. It slowed down, so...
or Combs' alleged right-hand woman testify? And what could she say exactly? Well, we're going to dive into what other witnesses have said about her so far and her alleged role in this whole saga. Welcome to Sidebar, presented by Law and Crime. I'm Jesse Weber. Hey everybody, listen up. This is another Law and Crime legal alert. If you received Depo-Provera birth control shots or were later diagnosed with a brain or spinal tumor called meningioma, you may be eligible for a lawsuit.
Hey, y'all check out Law and Crime channel.
Claims that patients
we on here though. Hey, greetings.
It's free to check, takes just a few minutes, and you don't pay unless they win. So scan the QR code.
Hey, greetings from Mexico, Monterrey, Mexico. Greetings.
Depo to see if you qualify.
Greetings. Hey, I appreciate y'all for coming in and tapping in with me, man. Hey, everybody that's watching, y'all hit the
chief of staff. Now,
my bad. Y'all hit the like button. But we about to listen to, I guess, Law and Crime. They put this up 4 hours ago, so we about to watch what they're talking about with the Sean P. Diddy case.
Had testified in his criminal trial as of yet. She's got it, right? I mean, in a prostitution, sex trafficking, especially a
you say go braids, yeah. Smiley, yeah. Go, hey.
Operated this criminal enterprise.
I live in Atlanta, so I get special hats that are like very, very different. I get special hats that are different. Like I get colors that you probably can't never get.
In a pattern of illegal activities for his benefit, and that he used.
I'm from Florida. I'm from Jacksonville. I'm from Florida, but I live in Atlanta.
His company resources and his staff to carry out crimes and cover them up. Quorum has to be a central witness who's going to testify for the government, right? Don't you need to explain the inner workings of this operation?
Hey, where you from? Where y'all tapping in from? Everybody, where y'all tapping in from? If you watching right now, where you tapping in from? Let me know. Y'all hit the like button too.
Conspiracy, right? This criminal agreement that he criminally agreed to further racketeering activity. He can't do it by himself. The natural question becomes, based on what has been...
So basically, Law and Crime saying the same thing I basically was saying, like, how you got a RICO and ain't nobody in it but you? You the only person in the RICO? Like, how you the only person in the RICO? Like, a RICO is like with a gang. The Big U RICO, that's a real RICO. That's a lot of people. It's only one person with P.
About
Diddy.
Christina Quorum. Is she a co-conspirator who's now going to testify against him? Has she been granted protection to do so? And to think about that, his former chief of staff, someone who has been described as his right-hand person, testifying against him, isn't that going to be...
They saying she like the Ghislaine Maxwell. That's what they trying to say to, like, as far as like Epstein, they trying to say that's the type of figure she was to Puffy.
Devastating? That is what we're going to discuss, and how she's already been brought up so many times in this trial so far. It is fascinating because the name Christina Quorum has already come up quite a bit since the Combs legal saga began. She's been mentioned in several lawsuits against the rap mogul, and even named as a defendant in some of them too. For instance, a woman named Ashley Parham filed a suit claiming she was violently gang raped by comedian Drewski, NFL star Odell Beckham, and violently assaulted with a remote by Sean Combs.
Damn.
And in that lawsuit, as far as Quorum, it says, quote, defendant KK told defendant Diddy that she did not think giving plaintiff a Glasgow smile would be advantageous to the potential clients who they could sell plaintiff for sex to. Defendant...
That's crazy. Like, I mean, it sounds crazy, but
KK then made a
I still don't see what a RICO come in at.
threat to plaintiff that they could ship her off anywhere in the world and that she would never...
Diddy do need to go to jail for some of the crimes that he committed. I'm not gonna say he don't need to go to jail. He does need to go to jail. But a RICO, I don't think he need a RICO.
...to see her family or anyone she knew ever again. There was also an accusation that
Definitely need to go to jail for beating on Cassie.
Combs had forced Christina Quorum to use a syringe to insert an IUD into Parham. And apparently, she and Combs argued over it, not over actually doing it, but that it wasn't going to work. Really weird allegation, but a serious allegation nonetheless. And that's not the only lawsuit that she's been named in as a defendant. She was named in another suit that was filed by a series of plaintiffs, and they claim that she, quote, aided Combs in his abuse.
Like, a lot of these are just civil lawsuits.
Submitted women and covered up sexual assaults. She was also
They're not criminals.
reportedly mentioned in other lawsuits, like one that was filed by a former employee who claims that Quorum would order him to clean up hotel rooms after Combs' wild sex parties. And maybe most famously, and the first time I personally heard of her name, was when she was named as a defendant in the lawsuit brought by Combs' former producer, Rodney Lil Rod Jones, who claims sexual harassment.
So when Cassie dropped her lawsuit, and this is where everybody really was basically saying that, you know, Diddy should have basically just came forth and gave Cassie her money, did what he was supposed to do, and, you know, he probably wouldn't have been going through this, but he didn't do that. He tried to do something different, and it didn't work at all.
In violation of the racketeering statute, he claims Christina Quorum manages the day-to-day of Combs' alleged criminal and sex trafficking enterprise, and basically made the allegation that she was like the Ghislaine Maxwell of this operation. Obviously, a reference to dissociative.
That's what I said. I just said that earlier.
Deceased financier Jeffrey Epstein. Ghislaine Maxwell ended up getting convicted of sex trafficking charges and sentenced to 20 years in prison. And by the way, I'll tell you what, as reported by the Hollywood Reporter, Combs seemingly highlighted Christina Quorum in a 2021 Facebook post, writing, KK keeps everything in my life and my business running. She's been my right hand for the last 8 years and has consistently proven to execute and get S done. Don't know how I'd function without her. Now, a few months back, Quorum released a statement that was published by USA Today, first reported by Rolling Stone, and she said the following. For months, horrific accusations have been made about me in various lawsuits regarding my former boss. These false allegations of my involvement are causing irreparable and incalculable damage to my reputation and the emotional well-being of myself and my family. I have never condoned or aided and abetted the sexual assault of anyone, nor have I ever drugged anyone. The idea that I could be accused of playing...
So it sounded like basically she was accused, she sounded like she was accused with Diddy. Because basically, like they said, to have a RICO, they basically have to have other people inside of your case. When you have other people inside of your case, basically they could turn on you, they could flip on you and put evidence on you. Like, I don't care if it's state or federal. In both cases, you could turn evidence on the person.
Rolling, or even being a bystander to the rape of anyone is beyond upsetting, disturbing, and unthinkable. That is not who I am, and my heart goes out to all victims of sexual assault. I am confident that the allegations against me will be proven to be untrue. Now, to be clear, while those specific allegations in the civil lawsuits haven't come up in the criminal trial, she has come up in a lot of ways already during testimony in Sean Combs' criminal case, which again makes me wonder, will she testify for the prosecution? Is it possible that she can actually help the defense? Give an example.
She might, that's a good question. She might basically testify for either side. Like, she's basically like a chess piece in this whole case, because basically, is prosecution or defense.
Give an example of an idea of how she's come up so far and her potential value as a witness. So Combs' former assistant, George Kaplan, testified about Christina Coram. Who did you personally report to when you were Mr. Combs' assistant? I reported to Christina Coram, who was the director of his office. Do you recognize the person in that?
So they're saying everybody reported to her.
Photograph? Yes. Who is that? Christina Coram. The same Christina Coram you were just talking about? Yes. Do you know her by any other names? KK. What was her role within Combs Enterprises? She was the director of Mr. Combs' executive office. So what were her job responsibilities? She essentially ran Mr. Combs' life. And more specifically, with respect to the charges that Combs faces, remember prosecutors are saying that women like Cassandra Ventura were forced into elaborate, prolonged sexual performances known as freak-offs with commercial sex workers that happened in various places, in various hotel rooms, and that Combs had his people prepare the rooms and clean them up afterwards. So if we accept that these are essentially crime scenes, listen to what Kaplan said on the stand. Who usually instructed you to set up a hotel room for Mr. Combs? Either Mr. Combs himself or Christina. When you say Christina, do you mean Christina Coram? Yes. A lot more to get into. I want to bring in right now former Palm Beach County State Attorney Dave Arenberg, who hosts Legal AF, which is part of the Midas Touch Network. Dave, so good to have you on here. Am I wrong? She's got to be called. She's got to be called as a witness in this case, no?
Absolutely. I mean, when you said that she was referred to as Diddy's right hand, it was Diddy who said that. So yeah, she has to. And it is very telling that she has not been charged with any crime. Why do you think? I mean, if she is allegedly the Ghislaine Maxwell to Diddy in this case, why has she not been charged like Ghislaine Maxwell? Well, I would think it's
Great.
It's time, your time.
I don't
Not
have
just to go back to
premium,
school, but to come back and move forward with.
it's because he's already cut a deal with prosecutors. Otherwise, I think it would be game on, and she would be in the prosecutor's crosshairs. So I do expect that she is cooperating, at least in some way, with the prosecution, and I do think she will appear at trial.
How do you think specifically she would prove racketeering, or help prove racketeering, the criminal enterprise? How would she prove the sex trafficking of Cassandra Ventura? How would she help prove transportation to engage in prostitution, transporting alleged victims and sex workers with the intent that they engage in prostitution and sex work? What are some of the things you think she'd be called to testify about?
When you have to prove racketeering, you've got to prove an ongoing criminal enterprise, not some ad hoc thing that you do with your friends and acquaintances, an enterprise. Well, if you're going to say that Diddy's record company is part of this criminal enterprise, you have to call employees of that company. Who better than Diddy's right hand? She knows, metaphorically speaking, where all the bodies are buried. So when it comes to racketeering, whether there were two predicate crimes, she can provide evidence. She can provide evidence that this is an ongoing criminal operation. And yes, she can provide evidence on the other count of human trafficking, show that Diddy allegedly harbored, transported, and in other ways created this system of force, fraud, and abuse that led these individuals like Cassie to perform sex acts for money. And that's what happened. When you talk about human trafficking, it's a commercial sex act and you need force, fraud, or coercion. Well, that's what we're talking about here, and that's the...
Like, it's like they trying to push it so hard to make him guilty. To me, I feel like they charged, like, if they should have charged Diddy, they should have charged Diddy with some state stuff. Like the federal, that I don't think they're gonna be able to depend this on him federally. The only thing federal, like he really actually probably was culpable of was I know the guns. Definitely the guns. If you knock the serial number out of a gun, definitely that's federal. And it was definitely what they said, an AK-47 or whatever. You knock the serial number out of that, that's definitely a federal crime. So the least of his, he gonna have to at least go for the guns.
So it came out during testimony that Homeland Security, HSI, they seized a cell phone of Christina Coram on September 16, 2024 at the Park Hyatt Hotel when Combs was ultimately arrested. That's got to be quite telling and a very interesting piece of evidence.
Oh man, you don't want the authorities to have your phone, right? The phone tells all. I mean, so many cases we've seen where there are new charges that come after the authorities get your phone. And so, yes, so you think that you would have to assume that the authorities know everything that KK knows. That's what Diddy calls her. And that's why the fact that she has not been charged tells me that she has been cooperating. She could be called as a rebuttal witness by the feds, or she could, as you said, perhaps she'll be called as a defense witness. That is perilous, though, because if she lies on the stand, that could result in a perjury charge. Even if she cut a deal with prosecutors for immunity, that doesn't cover perjury. So it is a minefield if you call her to the stand as part.
Right. They can call her. They can call her on either side.
The defense, I think perhaps the prosecution has her lying in wait in case they need her as a rebuttal witness.
So I'm going to get into a minute all the times, or a lot of the times that she was mentioned.
So it's looking like they're leaning more on the prosecution side. That's what I'm saying. Everybody turned against Diddy. Like everybody turned against him. There's nobody in this RICO with him. It's him by himself.
And how she might be used by the prosecution and the defense. But real quick, as a point of law, the allegations that she's facing in the civil lawsuits, whether she's named as a defendant or not, do you think any of that is going to come up in the criminal case against Sean Combs?
Well, it could. I mean, it's fair game if she's called to the stand. The accusation.
This don't seem like a slam dunk case, y'all. What if Diddy actually get off? What if Diddy actually get off?
It's against her and come in. I mean, if she testifies against Diddy, Diddy's people can tear her apart by pointing a finger at her. They can try to make her into the bad guy, enter her as the one who is trying to save her own hide by coming up with these lies. She's the one being sued, and she's going to say anything to get out of it. So that's the kind of thing you could see if she does turn on Diddy. On the other hand, the fact that she's been sued by various people and really salacious allegations, yeah, that is something that's going to hang over her head, and that is something that Diddy could use against her if she is called by the prosecution as a rebuttal witness.
I want to talk a little bit about how she's already brought up during the course of this trial. So I mentioned George Kaplan. So he testified that he was a witness to the abuse of Cassandra Ventura, victim number one in this case. Prosecutors say that Combs used violence, threats, financial control, intimidation, manipulation to coerce her into commercial sex acts, right? Sex trafficking. And
So, I mean, they they're saying all this about what Diddy did. One thing I will say, if somebody treated me bad, I don't think I would be there for 9 years. I don't think I could do 9 years.
Kaplan said that one time he was on a private plane.
And if I did do 9 years and now it was up, it would be such a relief.
Heard glass shattering, and he sees Sean Combs holding up a whiskey glass over his head. Cassie's on the floor, her hands are in front of her face. He also said he observed Combs throw green apples at another girlfriend of his in his Miami home, so this pattern of abusing women, important for racketeering. And this is the back and forth question.
He threw apples at women. Like like, some of this stuff, like, it is, you throwing an apple at a woman, that don't sound, it don't sound like a RICO to me.
What did you tell KK? I gave her a recount of what I had observed the night before. Did you tell her everything you have just told us? Yes. What, if anything, did you tell her about what you had observed on the jet involving Cassie? I told her each time that I witnessed any sort of violent act. Did you tell KK about the incident on the jet? Yes. Do you remember being asked about the conversation you had that next day with Christina Corum? Yes. Did you tell her about both of these incidents during that conversation? No. Which incident did you tell her about? The green apple incident. And earlier, had you told her about the incident on the jet? Yes. What did you tell her about why you decided to quit working for Mr. Combs during that conversation? I think the words I used were that I was unwilling to stand by the behavior. What behavior were you talking about in the context of that conversation with Christina, the green apples and the airplane incident? Did you tell Christina you were going to quit because of that? Yes. Did Christina say she was going to quit too? No. Did Christina, as far as you know, quit any time after you left? No. As far as you know, how long did Christina stay working?
It just sounds like a whole lot of, it sounds like a whole lot of information without a RICO charge.
For Mr. Combs, after you told her about these two incidents that shook you tremendously. I haven't spoken to her in a while, but my understanding was that she was working for him up until...
Shout out to Law and Crime. Y'all check out Law and Crime channel.
I need to share something that most homeowners are completely in the dark about.
pretty recently. Dave, what does that tell you?
Tells you, allegedly, she was in on the whole thing. I mean, she seems to be the one employee that hasn't broken from Diddy, that hasn't been attacked or threatened. And why is that? Because allegedly she has been carrying out Diddy's criminal enterprise. That's what the government, I'm sure, believes, but why hasn't she been charged? Because she knows so much she could sink Diddy. So I think that's why, or maybe if they haven't cut a deal with her, they're waiting to charge her afterwards, like Ghislaine Maxwell was charged afterwards, but after Jeffrey Epstein. But I think it's more likely that a deal's been cut. I mean, some of these allegations are
And the jury would know about that? She'll be asked about that, right?
about whether she cut a deal with prosecutors. Oh yeah, that's always used by defense lawyers to undermine the credibility of witness, saying, "Oh, you're here under immunity agreement, right? You cut a deal with prosecutors, right? You're facing decades of prison, and that's why you're here lying on the stand." That's the kind of stuff. By the way, it doesn't mean she's lying. It just means that she's thinking about herself. That's human nature. I just had to say, all these incidents, how can Diddy survive in the court of public opinion no matter what happens here? I mean, you have the Green Apple incident.
Well,
I mean, I actually...
How can he survive in the court of public opinion? And that's a good point.
Just had to Google the Glasgow smile. I didn't even know what that was.
So that allegation, right, was from one of the civil suits. Look, the court of public opinion, I don't think there's a way for him to recover. They lost the actual criminal trial. It does become a question, does it amount to sex trafficking? Does it amount to racketeering? I could play both sides here. I could do a whole analysis back and forth about whether or not at this point in the trial the prosecution is proven or not. I think they're convinced he might not be a great guy. He might have abused people, but does it amount to a criminal enterprise? And that's why I think Christina Corum may be an important witness. By the way, Cassie Ventura also testified about Christina Corum too. Listen to this exchange. When you mentioned trusted assistants, who were some of the trusted assistants? I mean, in the very beginning, it was David James. It just kind of changed over time. Christina Corum, eventually, Neil Dominic, he had a lot of different assistants. At what point in your relationship did you start communicating with Ms. Corum? As soon as she started, I'm not positive the year. Was that in the beginning, the middle, or the end of your relationship with Sean? It was like the middle of the relationship. What did you call Ms. Corum? I called her KK. And how frequently did you interact with KK? Every day. And what subject matters did you communicate with KK about? Everything from scheduling to what kind of mood he was in. I talked to KK about a lot. She knew a lot of my personal things. Aside from conversations you had with your attorney, which I don't want you to ask about, was there any other way you went about trying to contact Sean regarding the book chapters? By the way, I'm taking different pieces of testimony, but this is, I believe, was about Ventura allegedly offering Combs the rights to her book about her experiences, about her.
I don't know. It just sounds like a lot of information. No Rico.
Time with him, possibly, that he would buy them for $30 million. Well, anyway, Ventura responded, yeah, I reached directly out to Christina, to KK. What did you ask KK? I asked if he had read it and or just knew about it at all. And she said that basically it hadn't been taken seriously. Like, I don't think anybody believed that was actually me. So what do you mean you don't think anyone believed that was you? She said it wasn't taken seriously. Like, they didn't think that I would do something like that. Then, by the way, she testified about an episode where Combs had allegedly tried to get into her apartment. So, listen to this.
Like, he tried to get into her apartment. Let's listen to this.
Okay, Ms. Ventura, how do you know Sean was trying to get into the apartment? Because I was notified by his assistant. Who told you Sean was trying to get into your apartment? Well, Terry, because she was there, and Christina Coram. What, if anything, could you hear while this was happening? Just chaos outside the door.
This what I want to know. Why these folks didn't call the police earlier? Like, this what I want to know. Why they didn't call the police when this shit was happening? Like, if they was in such duress and you stayed with the man for 9 years, you ain't called no police.
Banging, kicking, yelling. So, Dave, according to Ventura, Coram was essentially in the thick of it all.
Y'all hit that like button. Hit the like button. Y'all watching. Hit the like button.
You know, exactly, does she corroborate Cassandra Ventura's account, and how much is she going to be grilled about this? Again, I think a central role she might play.
Yeah, the big defense for Diddy and all this is consent. He's trying to make jurors believe that Cassie and the others consented to this activity. And if you can prove or at least show some doubt that there was consent here for that alleged human trafficking, then the whole case falls apart. So how do you combat that if you're Cassie? Well, you have corroboration. You have other witnesses who have testified, but also you have contemporary statements that she made to KK. Statements that said, here, this is what's happening, this is what's happening. And that kind of stuff's important because it shows that Cassie was being forced into it or was being coerced into it. And any statement she makes at the time can come in to show her present
Y'all check out the Law and Crime channel.
impressions that she was thinking like this at the time. This was her spontaneous comments, and it shows that she was under duress, that it was not consensual. So KK is valuable for a lot of reasons, and that's why I guess maybe I'm a little surprised she has not been called yet.
Hey, thank you. PK family.
I think it was strategic.
Thank
Because
you.
other people have already testified about her too, right? And I think it's strategic on the part of prosecutors to not call her yet.
Hey,
Why do I
shout
say
out
that?
PK
Beyond
family.
that,
Y'all go check
this
his
is
channel
Combs
out.
and Cassie Stiles took the stand. Question: who on Mr. Combs' staff did you talk to about the violence you observed Mr. Combs inflict on Cassie? Derek and Christina. Who is Christina? Puff's assistant. How did Christina respond when you told her about violence you observed between Mr. Combs and Cassie? That she would talk to him. Then there was an objection. The court overruled it. And did the violence stop after she said that? No. You said he would blow everyone's phone up. Who's the he? Puff. And when you say blow everyone's phone up, what did you mean? He would call incessantly. Who did you see him call incessantly? Me and Cassie. And who else during those same periods called you and Cassie? Christina. Christina Coram? Yes. Did you answer any of those calls? Yes. When you answered Mr. Combs' calls,
Like, we talk about he calling their phone. Where the Rico at? Y'all, please tell me where the Rico at. If y'all watching, anybody in here watching right now, tell me where the Rico at. He calling their phone.
what would he say? He would just say, we need to get back to the house. She needs to get back to the house. And what do you remember his tone?
And I'm gonna tell y'all something crazy, bro. Y'all, like, I don't know who in here. Y'all need to listen to me. Y'all check it out. So, the first, I guess, was 2 days ago, Sunday. That was the day that everything was supposed to go through with They were supposed to ban the tariffs that Donald Trump was talking about. I wake up Monday morning, they ain't talking about nothing but Diddy on the news. On the news, bro. Diddy. They ain't talking about the tariffs, they talk about Diddy.
Sometimes angry, sometimes he would soften up. And what do you remember Christina saying when you answered her calls? That she was going to help with the situation, that he's calmed down, that we should come
They be covering up a lot of shit, y'all.
back to the house.
So this video is only for my fellow Georgia residents. If you haven't seen this yet, basically anyone who lives in a Georgia...
Then there was Ventura's former friend Kerry Morgan, who testified about Christina Coram. Question, why would Miss Coram tell you she was trying to call you if you couldn't get in touch with Cassie, usually? Did she ever tell you who had told her to call? Well, I'm assuming it would be Sean. Without assuming, did she ever say that he had told her to call? Yes. And she testified...
They talking about calling people. This what they testifying about, but they talking about it's a RICO.
About this alleged encounter when Combs allegedly showed up to Ventura's home, pounding on the door with a hammer. This, by the way, was after the infamous...
He pounded on the door with a hammer, but what else? Did he beat her with the hammer? Like, let's
2016 hotel video of Combs appearing to beat up Cassandra Ventura. Morgan testified police were called after Combs could have been into the apartment. Quote, who, if anyone, did you tell about the police officers arriving at the apartment? Christina Coram. Miss Morgan, do you recognize the participants in this chat? Yes, who are they? Me and Christina. Could you please read your first two messages? I'm so sorry I missed your calls. I'm just so not used to this S. Are you okay? And then the first two messages on the next page. It's so dramatic. I haven't been looking at my phone. We're okay, but it's just so nuts. Okay, turning to this next message. Can you read it, please? I don't think anyone should call her. Who is the her you're referring to? Cassie. Did you send an attachment with this message? Yes. What was that attachment? It's the card that the detective left. I'll read Miss Coram's messages if you read your own, please. Can I call you in a bit when I'm alone? She was looking for anyone to say the wrong thing so she can call domestic abuse. Who is the she that you're referring to in this statement? The police officer that came? Okay, turning to the next messages, could you please read? Of course. Cass just asked me to send you that. And what were you referring to when you said Cass just asked me to send you that? The business card of the detective. In these messages, Miss Coram mentioned she is going to call you.
it ain't like, I don't see a RICO. I don't see a RICO. I gotta go to something else because this ain't, you know. It's just not, you know. We'll go to, I'm about to go to Most Scandalous Los Angeles channel because that right there, that ain't. We'll watch this thing.
But then again, you know, the feds work. We don't care how many chickens or turkeys you pass out. Yeah. We don't care how many book bags you been passed out. What we care about is these wiretaps. We care about these cops.
This Most Scandalous Los Angeles TV, this is what we reacting to right now.
We get to informants, and we care about your actions within the means of the law.
Welcome back to Scandalous Los Angeles TV, where we expose the exposers. Now that the feds have Big U in custody and reveal details about Operation Drawdown, everything CS2 back has been doing over the past few years starts to make sense. CS2 back strategically gave a platform to Cannon, allowing him to air out personal grievances and ultimately incriminate both himself and Big U, helping the feds build a case and seal a conviction. But it wasn't just CS2 back who played a role in this. Adam 22 was also used as part of this larger scheme. By giving a voice to CS2 back, the federal informant, and allowing individuals like Loose Cannon to speak freely on his platform, Adam has become a useful asset in this federal operation. I'm also going to show you how the feds actually lied for Adam in this affidavit, covering up certain details to protect him while they used him to further their case. The connections and manipulation at play here go deeper than many realize. In this episode, we're going to take a closer look at the videos featured in the Fed's affidavit and break down the crucial role that Porky played in helping the authorities with their investigation. We'll revisit the events and explore how his involvement helped shape the case against
Whack 100.
Big U. So we'll start here. Henley directs a robbery of and conspires to rob, and Robinson and Williams personally rob a marijuana dispensary.
So this Big U, y'all, this Big U had loose cannon go rob these folks, and we're gonna listen to what happened.
At gunpoint.
One such robbery occurred on July 5th, 2021, at an unlicensed marijuana dispensary in Los Angeles, where victim 1 worked. Leading up to the robbery, the Big U enterprise had been extorting victim 1 for years, and victim 1 had been paying the Big U enterprise up to $25,000 per month when victim 1 was at the top of his earning capacity.
I think that's what his name is. I forget the dude's name, but yeah.
Shortly before the robbery, however, victim 1 had ceased paying extortion to the Big U enterprise, as victim 1 did not believe it was necessary or that he was receiving any benefit from the payments. On the day of the robbery, approximately 11 of the Big U enterprise's members and associates, including Robinson and Williams, both of whom victim 1 knew well as Rolling 60's members, rushed into the dispensary armed with firearms and without masks. They demanded belongings of anyone inside and stole cash and marijuana from the store before fleeing. Rolex watch from one of the co-owners, but at Robinson's direction, they ended up letting him keep it. According to victim 1, while still at the dispensary, the robbers put victim 1 on the phone with Henley, who invited victim 1 to Henley's home. According to victim 1,
Okay, victim 1, I know that's Monster. That's the one that owned the store that they robbed.
When victim 1 arrived at Henley's Arlington premises, Robinson, Williams, and other robbers were there, as were the proceeds of the robbery. Inside, Henley told victim 1, "That's how you rob yourself." Henley then demanded $10,000 from victim 1 to ensure other robberies did not occur. Henley also directed victim 1 to identify other businesses or dispensaries that could be similarly robbed and assured victim 1 that the Big U enterprise would compensate him for identifying any robberies. Henley then provided a portion of the robbery proceeds back to victim 1. Williams later admitted to this robbery and the aftermath on a podcast. On the No Jumper podcast, after stating that Williams was Henley's right-hand man, Williams explained, "So, basically, he'll manipulate things. We'll go and do something. And then the same niggas we do it to show up to the house like 10 minutes later as we trying to count everything."
He'll be like, he'll manipulate things. Like, we'll go and do something, and the same niggas we do it to show up to the house like 10 minutes later when we try to, counting everything, right?
And we'd be like, "How the fuck?" Williams then said that Henley would state, "Well, we just going to give like $40,000 back."
And we'd be like, "How the fuck they get that?"
This sounds like the dumbest dude ever. He said he robbed somebody, took the money back to Big U, and Big U said, "We're going to give them most of their money back, but I'm going to take some of the money and didn't give you nothing."
Oh, well, we're going to just give them like $40,000 back and stuff like that.
Whack 100, who was a rival Chopper's counterpart of Henley's for the Bloods, was also on the podcast and stated, "You know why he wanted to give the dude back the $40?
Hey man, hey,
right?
Check this out.
Because he was going to make the dude give him $20.
Y'all kicking to me in the Karma Cafe. I want y'all to like, subscribe, share, definitely hit notification bell. I will be back. I'll probably come back tonight. I'll see what's up. But I got to go handle something. I'm going to let y'all. Peace and one.